Who has a small business, growing business? Somewhere here? Come on, guys, be prideful. I don't have one, but there you go. Small business, guys. I do want to actually take that perfect segue into thinking, just letting you go. So whose first time is it here at 1 Million Cups? Awesome, thank you. So if you didn't know, 1 Million Cups is a program that is run by us, which are all technically volunteers of the program, and then powered by people who believe in this program, such as, for example, Armando, who is the owner of Harmony Insurance, and is a partner of Born in Film, who you see Alito right here recording. Like people like this, like people like Jose, like people like the Arrega brothers, like everyone here in the room or people in the room have sponsored some coffee for us because they believe in what we do here. And now again, perfect segue into saying welcome to 1 Million Cups. It happens every single Wednesday, so if you cannot make it to this one, you can make it to the next one or to the next one, or you can just, you get the story. So, what is 1 Million Cups? It's a very simple concept. It happens every single Wednesday. It's actually a national program, so it's not like we came up with it here, but we embrace it and make it our own. So every single Wednesday, there is a community just like this one, not as awesome, but just exactly like this. With what purpose? To connect. The program itself says we do not believe in networking. We create meaningful connections. Can someone tell me what's the difference between networking and a meaningful connection? There you go. Okay, friendship, long term. What else? Opportunities. What else? Les voy a quitar el pan. ¿Qué más? I guess, again. Se los dije la semana pasada, pero bueno, no pasa nada. La diferencia es, ¿qué pasa when you're talking to someone, you meet someone, you're like, here's my business card. What happened to that business card? Trash. I leave them. You have no idea how many slacks I've ruined because of business cards. Because I just leave them there, I wash them, next thing you know, my dryer's full of lint, and I'm like, damn. Okay, so that's networking. Networking is just like, hey, here's my card, yes, we'll hit you up, yes, whatever the case might be, you forget about it, and that's gone. The difference is when you actually meet someone, you make it meaningful, and you say, let's work together. You know what, let's make an action plan for this. Let's meet next Wednesday. You know what, I know that we're both busy, let's set up a quick Zoom. Let me email you right now. Let's make meaningful connections that we can actually take action afterwards, not just a business card. So that's what we do here. Besides that, we bring 2 speakers every single Wednesday. Today we have a very special one. And they tell us their story. They tell us their journey. They might have an issue going on with their business. They might just want to highlight it. They might be looking for resources, or they might be the resources for you. Today or this Wednesday, it is for you guys to get inspired, to get to know someone else, to find a connection in this crowd. And like I said, I'll tell you a little bit about who it is. But before that, we have 4,655 cups of coffee. So just so we can give you a perspective, last week we actually had 120 people in the room. And it was pretty special. Let's give it a round of applause for that, please. And that honestly, for me, it's a very interesting number just because when I started this job, actually exactly a year ago, I remember it was my first 1 Million Cups. Grace, which I'll introduce in a little bit, was doing 1 Million Cups, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's my first time I'm doing this. 5 people showed up. And I was like, damn, I have a lot of coffee. You guys can take some to go. But the beauty of this is that you guys keep on returning. I love seeing familiar faces. I see the people that I see every single Wednesday. And then I see new ones, new friends, new connections, new things happening. And that's the beauty of this program. It keeps on growing. And then I see some people not showing up for 3 months, which is great, which tells me that people took what they learned from here, they applied it somewhere else, and they're like, you know what, now I'm ready to come back with new insights. Or that's what I'm telling myself to make me feel better. But what I'm saying here is like, it's a revolving door. I don't expect you guys to be here forever, but I expect you guys to take what you need from here. I expect you guys to take advantage of this moment, take advantage of the cafecito, the pan dulce, the connections, and then go apply it in your job. So, I want to introduce someone very special. I love my organizing team. I cannot do this without, it's not just me. I know you guys see me running around, but this has a whole structure. I have Omar with everything that has to do with cameras and pictures and everything, which I don't know where he is. I promise he does exist. I'm not crazy. I have Grace, who actually is my 1 Million Cups partner, and she presents because she's not shy to be on the microphone. When I started, Grace was doing it, and I remember she sent me an email with, this is the presentation link, this is the slides, this is this. And I'm like, what is going on? Grace, please tell me what to do. I would not be able to speak over here in front of you guys without Grace's help. I have Idania and Nate, which are amazing with helping me get those people. Whenever I'm scrambling in my head, I'm like, I don't know who to invite. Then Nate and Idania come like, I have a list of 10 people we can invite. I'm like, damn, you guys are good. But I want to introduce Grace so she can continue the program. Guys, it is a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much, and then let's give it up for Grace Botello.
Good morning. Also, can you all help me sing happy birthday to Daniel? Please, rapidito, antes de que continuemos. Yes? Okay. Bueno, a ver, ¿listos? Ustedes empiecen. 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Daniel. Happy birthday to you. I think he's turning what, like 21?
Yeah, 21.
21? 25 and fabulous? 32? At this moment, please silence your phones. We are having a great speaker. Please help me introduce Bobby Science. He's the co-founder of Wing Barn. I know you all have gone to Wing Barn, so please help me welcome with a big, big, big round of applause.
That one, okay. Awesome, thank you. Well, thank you guys for coming out today, and I appreciate all you guys for being here. And again, special thanks to Daniel and the Million Cups for having me. So great to see everybody. I didn't know exactly how many people would show up, right, for Wing Barn, but it's great to see you guys here today. So, where's that? Yeah, okay. So just a little bit about me. I'm Bobby Sines, the president and CEO of Wing Barn, and I'm from Laredo originally, right? So came from Laredo, graduated from Texas Tech University in Lubbock, and then first off started my career in the retail world. So a lot of a clothing store, right? Department store called Mervyn's. I don't know if you remember Mervyn's. It's not around nowadays, but basically like a Kohl's or a J.C. Penney. And that's where my career started. I was 22 years old. I got my first job as an assistant manager in Laredo. And within 11 months, I was promoted to a general manager. I had to move to Corpus. So was there in Corpus for around 7 months, then got promoted again to run the McAllen store. And was there for maybe 2 years or so. And then eventually came down to Brownsville, and we grand opened a store in Brownsville, and I got a lot of experience, how to run stores, how to grand open a store, how to deal with employees and customers and people and money and things like that, right? And then eventually I went to H-E-B. So I was a store director for H-E-B. I ran a couple of stores in Brownsville and in Harlingen. And the same thing, so H-E-B is a lot of procedures, being as efficient as possible. And, you know, just giving me that background to run a business, right? So learned a lot from the big chain guys, the big stores, and eventually, in my mind, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know exactly what, I didn't know what type of business, but I knew I wanted a business of my own. So that's me, right? Graduating in 2002. So, but I was really detail oriented, you know. When I commit, I'm all in, and I always say, you know, if you're gonna do it right. You know, we don't do anything half. You know, we're gonna take it all the way, which I call full circle, right? So then I thought, what do I do? I'm here in Brownsville. I'm looking around, seeing what's out there. And I noticed, living in Brownsville, the way of life is food, family, and culture. That's what we do. People connect over meals. The thought of a restaurant came to me, right? And I just wanted something simple. So I said, man, burgers, wings, beer. Like, how can you go wrong? Everybody likes a burger, wings, beer, some people, right? So I didn't want it too detailed of a restaurant, just, something more simple. So the first thing that comes to mind when you're thinking about restaurants is you got the big chains. Those are the ones that pop up in your mind. You drive by, they have the best locations. And not knowing much about restaurants, I said, my mind went there, right? I'm going to look into a franchise and see what I could do. So when you think about wings, obviously Wingstop comes to mind, and that's the one that popped in my mind, and that's exactly where I went. And then I made some phone calls and reached out and to find out what information was out there to see if it was possible to do something with them, right? And come to find out, the territory was taken. I couldn't do anything in the Rio Grande Valley, and that wasn't an option. So I continued to find my way. At the time, I'm probably 27 years old during this time frame of trying to figure things out. And then eventually, I found this place called Wingman Wings in Denver, Colorado. I don't know how I found it, but somehow I found it, researching through the internet, right? And I started talking to them, and one conversation led to another, and just sort of started experimenting with that and finding out more information as the time went on. And they gave me an opportunity to buy or invest into an area, right? So I would be, sort of like an area from Corpus to Laredo, all the way south to Brownsville, and I would have control over that area. And if anybody wanted to open a Wingman Wings, they would have to come through me, and I would be able to, get revenue in regards to that, or just control the area myself and expand into those areas in the future. So, I was pretty serious about it at that point. Like I said, when I commit to something, I'm going to find a way and get it done. So I said, hey, it's obviously an important decision. So I made a trip to Colorado, to Denver, Colorado. I was going to meet with the president, the CEO of the company. And again, 27, when you hear president, CEO, it's sort of intimidating. I've never met with people like that. I really don't know what I'm doing. I've never had a restaurant before. So all those things are in my mind. But, again, we're just powering through, and we're going to find a way. So I get there, have a meeting. We're there for maybe 8 hours, long day, and just looking at the operation, from tasting food, looking at his operation, his POS systems, his processes and procedures, his phone system. Tasted the food. Some was great, some was horrible, which I didn't feel was going to be or hit in the market that I'm from. And, through it all, I just sort of analyzed after the meeting. I said, man, this guy's just a normal guy. He's a president, he's a CEO, but at the end of the day, he's a normal dude. And that is when the light, the light went off, and I said, man, I need to create my own. If he could do it, why can't I? And that's really the determining factor of when that idea popped into my head. All right. So then, never worked in a restaurant, right? Never been in charge of a restaurant. So I have no clue what the restaurant business is like, and so then I got to find somebody, right? I got to find somebody to help me. So I remember my wife, Anna, who's here today, and she says, hey, my cousin's a chef. And I said, what? Your cousin's a chef? And he's like, yeah, he went to the Cordon Bleu in Austin, graduated from there, and he's working in Dallas. He's worked in restaurants before, and he's doing this and that and so on. I said, okay. And it was close to the holidays, so he was coming down to town from Dallas down to Brownsville. And I said, this is a perfect opportunity to to pick his brain and see, what he knows and what he does and so on. So I really didn't know each other that well, prior to that. So he comes down to Brownsville. I approach, I say, hey, I'm thinking about burgers, wings, beer, type of restaurant. Do you know how to do that? Are you interested in something like that? And he's like, yeah, come to my house tomorrow, and I'll cook you some wings, and we'll figure it out. I said, okay. So, next day I get up, go over there for dinner, and sure enough, I walk into the house. Man, he's got this a fryer that most people don't have. It's plugged in, and there's oil and wings and sauce going on the stove, and all types of things going on. I'm like, man, this is not normal. Not an average person is doing this at the house. So definitely could see the passion, right? Could see the passion from the start. The knowledge of cooking and the culinary experience behind it for sure stood out to me. So at that moment, we tasted the wings, and it was phenomenal. So much better than what I had in Colorado, that I said, man, this is it. This is the answer. So I decided to talk to Daniel, see, hey, if this is something you want to do, are you interested in doing something like this, right? And that's when the concept of building Wing Barn started. So we got all the business type of stuff organized. We started looking for all the details of the business plan and things like that. Not in too detail, because again, we've never really done something like this, and we're not corporate, right? We're just sort of talking and talking it through. So, but I knew I wanted a country, rustic environment, a lot of wood, lamina on the walls. I knew all that in my head, country music playing when you walk in, metal chairs. So that was the whole concept in my head, as we were building this company, right? And obviously, the quality of food and great service. So the name Wing Barn, we thought of all this stuff, right? But we couldn't figure out a name. We were so, I guess, caught up in the whole moment and trying to do things. Well, so Daniel heads back up to Dallas to get all his things, and he's planning to, sort of quit his job in Dallas and move down to Brownsville. And he calls me, he's like, hey, I got it. And I said, what do you have? He's like, I got it. I just passed a red barn and Wing Barn. Like, it came into my mind. I said, man, that's amazing. Wing Barn. And that's how the name came up. And we had thought about dang good wings. I just didn't like the flow of it. Like, where are you going to go eat? Dang good wings. Like, it just doesn't sound right. Then we thought about Lone Star Wings. And that one had a good ring, and we almost went with it. But Wing Barn just hit the spot just right, and it wasn't even a hard decision. It was just like an instant decision that's what we're going with. And then dang good wings is our slogan, right? So it's just dang good. So that's sort of, we still use dang good because I still liked it, but we use that more of as a slogan. So anyway, that's how the story of the name Wing Barn came up. So then our first location, reality hits, right? So we're talking about, okay, well, where do you go? What are we doing? I've never leased a building. I've never constructed any type of business before. And this is when, like, man, this is real, This is going to take a commitment. We're going to have to sign a contract. I was so nervous, signing that first contract out there. But anyway, we looked at it. We're seeing where to go, what to do. And Daniel says, hey, I know this landlord. He's, an old friend. And he has a building at Boca Chica. So let me make a phone call and we can meet him. So went over there. We talked to, his name is Rafael Chacon. I don't know if you know him or not, but just a good guy. And goes and shows us his building. And it was an old skating rink, 26,000 square feet. It's huge. I walk in and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is massive, but it had an existing kitchen, had restrooms, it had a hood, had a grease trap, you know? So all those things in my mind were, okay, well, those are things I won't have to invest in and pay for, right? But it's 26,000 square feet. What the heck are we going to do with this, right? So, and I was all about cost. It wasn't about size. I didn't have plans. I didn't talk to an architect and draw things out. This was just all in the head, trying to just figure it out on the go and do things. Probably not the right thing to do, but again, you know, a rookie at this at the time, you're just going with the flow, thinking about how you're going to get it done, right? So we decide. I told him, you know, we have $3,000, and that was even pushing it. I was like, man, $3,000 for rent scared the heck out of me at the time. But I was like, I can't get any smaller than 2,000 square feet. That's what 2,000 square feet was gonna cost me, is $3,000. So we sort of measured it out, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, this is tiny. It's so small. What are we gonna do? But it is what it is, and that's how the determining factor was to be 2,000 square feet was the price of rent at $3,000. So, so we decided to go for it, right? Whoops. I don't know what's happening here. Yeah, that's it. Jeez. Okay. So we went for it, you know, and that's actually me. We're painting floors, trying to save as much money as possible, doing everything that we could. So that's my brother-in-law, that's Daniel's brother-in-law, scraping floors, painting walls. Daniel's hanging all the TVs and electronics, connecting all the kitchen equipment, and doing everything possible just to try to get it going, right? We had an opening target date in May sometime, right? We actually opened on May 27th, but a target date in May. Again, family and friends, we spread the word. Facebook was, I think, right, just barely starting to come out at that moment, so we were learning how to do Facebook and trying to post and not knowing what the heck to do with that. No marketing budget really to promote the business, just strictly word of mouth, family, friends, and just trying to get the word out. That's how we did it. We wanted to focus on great quality and service, and Daniel, you know, was working 7 days a week, open and close, you know, nonstop. And I was still working at HEB. So I would work at HEB, I'd get out of work, and I would go to Wingborne. And on my days off, I would work at Wingborne. And that's how we did it at the beginning. Our early lessons, man, we had to learn fast or we were gonna fail. And it was to a point of, we didn't know, right? You know, we don't know how busy you're gonna get. There's no history to tell you how many sales projections you're gonna make. It was just a matter of what's gonna happen that day. You open the door and we're seeing what's happening. So from a food perspective, right, you have too much food ready to go, well, and you don't sell it, you're throwing it away. Then you don't have enough food prepped and you get packed, well, now it's a bad situation and you're backed up and it's gonna take 45 minutes or an hour to get your food, right? So it's a tight window and you have to be ready and right, you know? So you're guessing at that point, and it's not too good to guess in the restaurant business. So at the end of the day, we had to focus on the speed and experience, and we're always trying to improve. So we're always trying to learn, seeing what's happening, trying to see what trends we can get, and start making better informed, you know, decisions. And then, you know, the struggle was there. It wasn't like an amazing, you open the doors and, man, we got flooded with people. It wasn't like that. It was, you know, slowly, it sort of ramped up a little bit. And then it was just, you know, sort of that slowdown after that opening period. And then reality sets in, right? We had $700 left in our account. I think I started with $100,000 with construction and stuff like that, and I'm down to $700. And it's like, well, what the heck are we gonna do, right? So, scary. And that's when I said, hey, the staff, we don't have enough money. I'm going to tell you right now, you guys need to possibly take the week off. And I turned to Daniel and said, you're going to cook, and I'm going to be in the front. And that's the way we're going to do it. That's the only option we have. So we did that, I think, for a week straight. open and close. Daniel's cooking. I'm in the front taking orders on the register, taking food out, picking up tables, cleaning tables, sweeping, mopping, everything that we could do just to get by. And I don't know, somehow, some way, we emerged. The employees were able to come back. If you ask me, it's just you're in the moment. Like, you're not thinking of it. You're just fighting every single moment to get through. And so if I think back, it's hard to remember those days because it was just, you're just in the moment. You're in the zone, right? But, you got to cook, clean, serve, repeat. And there was no backup plan. No, we couldn't quit. And then the breakthrough, we made it. The momentum returned, customers kept coming in, and then you built the confidence. And in the restaurant business, it's a lot of word of mouth, right? So, man, you go by that place and it's packed. So, hey, it must be good. And the popularity started to hit. And that's we were able to break through there. But I always knew Wing Barn wasn't a one-store concept. That was never the plan. It was always to expand, right? I didn't know exactly how that was going to work out or when or time frame, but it was always, that was the goal. It was never one. We're going to have multiple units. So I was always looking for opportunities. I would drive around town, anywhere really, and if something caught my eye, I would take the time, look at it, stop, get a phone number off the window, and see what options were there, right? What's available? Is this a good option for us or not? What's the going rate of rent? And so on. And I couldn't even afford it. Like, it wasn't even an option. I wasn't in the plan of, okay, we're going to open. I want to open a store in the next 6 months. No, it was just curiosity of trying to find the next step and no time frame. So I saw something on Pablo Casel, and I called and got some information. They gave me the prices, the details of things, and I left my phone number, or they asked me for my name and number, and I left it with them, and I went on, right? No, nothing happened. And weeks later, I'm there at Boca Chica. I'm taking orders at the register. That was sort of my job back in the day. And I see some out-of-towners come in, and I know they're not from here, and they come and say, hey, they order at the register. I take their order, and they say, are you the owner? And I said, yeah, I'm the owner. Okay, well, when you have a chance and you have an opportunity, can you come sit with us? We'd like to talk to you. I said, cool, yeah, that's fine. So I was working, finally had the opportunity to go and spend some time with them. And they introduced themselves. Hey, we're from the retail strategy. We're from Austin, and we're brokers, and we try to help businesses like yours, find locations. And we heard that you were interested in this location at Pablo Casel. We wanted to try to make a deal. We were representing Sports Clips, and the building is, I believe, 4,500 or 4,800 square feet, and Sports Clips only needs, this amount. And we wanted to see if you would take the other amount, and we can try to work a deal. I said, okay, well, that's good. And she's like, and we can have the landlord help pay for it. I said, what? Like, what's that about? She's like, yeah. Like, how much money do you need to do this? For plumbing and for electrical. And I said, well, man, I don't know. I'd have to look at it, and we can figure it out. So, anyway, I'm like, man, the landlord's going to help pay for something like this, because Boca Chica, I paid for everything. It was 100%, my investment. So at the end of the day, we get this landlord to help pay for plumbing, electrical, and now what is called TI, right? So tenant improvements, landlord tenant improvements, right? So that was a huge learning for me and a huge cost savings. So somehow, some way, we made the deal, and we were able to get in there at a minimum cost that I thought was going to help us, or that quickly expand. And somehow, some way, we figured it out. We did it. I jumped in, and that's how we grew from 2 years later, from one location to two, right? And then 3 months later, my same landlord at Boca Chica was opening a spot in Olmito, another building, another commercial plaza. And the same thing, he's investing in me. He saw my operation. He believed in my success, He could see the passion and energy that I had to operate Wing Barn. So he said, I'm going to pay for all your stuff. You just need to come in with your kitchen equipment and anything else that you may need. So he invested in me, and that's how basically I opened 2 locations within 3 months. So I went literally from 1 location to 3 locations pretty much, fairly quickly. And again, it was a do or die situation. Here I am I'm signing these leases now. I don't really feel financially stable, but it is what it is. You're taking the risk, and you're rolling the dice, right? So, let me see. Yeah. So there, again, like I said, we went literally from 1 to 3 pretty much. So we learned how to scale, right? We learned how to deal with multi-unit restaurants where I'm not in the restaurant every single day. If I'm in the restaurant every single day, man, I have a lot of confidence that everything's going to happen because I'm there, right? But now the challenge comes when you have to step back, and now you have people. And that's when the challenge begins, because you're trusting them with your name, with your brand, your expectations, and that's a very challenging situation. So what we learned is obviously you have to have standard operating procedures, right? SOPs. And we're always evolving. So that operating procedure is going to change. It's never set in stone, and you're always evolving as time goes by. But we're able to understand that and, adapt to those types of situations. And that's really what happened. And eventually, once all those steps are in place, where you walk in, we have 15-minute walks, you walk in and you're checking your opening procedures, your closing procedures, your cleaning procedures, your cookbook, and other concepts. You walk into a McDonald's in Brownsville, you walk into a McDonald's in New York, you're getting a quarter pounder the same way, the same package, everything. And that's a very, very hard thing to do. Some companies make it look easy, but it's extremely challenging when you start looking into the details. So you have a 10-wing combo, let's just say. Are you putting 10 wings on the left and fries on the right? Are you going to put 5 wings on the left, 5 wings on the left, fries in the middle, 5 wings on the right? What are you doing? How are we doing it? When you start thinking about it like that. So we had to think of all those things, but it wasn't until situations like that occurred. Like, why is it different in Olmito than Boca Chica? Why did this guy do this? Why did he put the wings separate, And then sometimes it was like, man, that's a great idea. We're going to do that everywhere. So you get to learn from your people, your team, and you adapt and you change. So it's a cool thing, but it's frustrating at the same time. But you always have to just keep adapting and finding ways to get it done, right? And then what's clean to you may not be clean to somebody else. Hey, go clean that table. What does clean mean, right? Does that mean the top and that's it? Does it mean the top and the sides and the chairs and wiping down chairs and sweeping underneath the table? That would be clean to me, but clean to an employee could be wiping off the top and leaving, right? So those are the things that matter, all right, or the details that go into standard operating procedures and teaching and coaching your team to get to that next level. So as the years went by, it was basically copy and repeat. And then obviously team structure. So, we have our organizational chart, obviously more opportunities and growth within the company, which was motivation to some people. And we grew from, Brownsville pretty much. So it was Boca Chica, Pablo Cusel, Olmito. Then we went to Harlingen. Then we went to McAllen. So we sort of made our way up the valley and try to get that name recognition, to follow us. So, and that's a very hard thing in itself. So, we're based and rooted in Brownsville, right? We've been here going on 16 years, So Brownsville, we would think, knows our name better than, say, McAllen or San Juan or Weslaco, right? So, we're rooted here, but as the further you go off or go further away from your base, that's when the challenge sets in, because who's Wing Barn, right? They don't know. And, that was a big opportunity that we faced. But with time, and that's where it is important to get involved in the community and make your name out there and do what you got to do. But this was pretty much our expansion throughout the Rio Grande Valley throughout the years. So again, we've been around going on 16 years. Our last store I think we constructed was in 2022. So there was a point there, man, where we were just popping stores out. And then now we're sort of settling in. Let's get the operation tight and maximize the locations that we have. So that's actually our grand opening right here in Boca Chica. I'm 29 years old at the time, myself and Daniel. And again, we're at 9 locations now. We have 200 plus employees throughout the chain. We've given back to our communities that we serve over $1.5 million through our fundraising program, which we're really proud of, to be a part of. Because without our community, again, Wingborne wouldn't exist, right? So we understand that, and we try to do as much as we can to help benefit the communities that we serve. And then our lessons, and there's always the what ifs, right? I don't know, if you're like me, you're never satisfied. You're always just trying to on to the next thing, and this is the way I am, right? But you're never going to be ready. When you think about it, there's never a perfect time. There's never a perfect situation. You just got to jump in if that's your passion and that's what you want, and you have obviously a good educated plan or guess of what you're going to do. People matter most, right? Without people, without your team, you're nothing. You can't do it. I have 200 people helping me. I can't run 9 locations by myself and be everywhere. So you got to trust your people and, train and have those expectations for your guys. Then you got to adapt quickly, right? Perfect example, COVID. Nobody could see that coming. It comes, it happens, changes the world, changes our lives, changes our, people we're habits, we're creatures of habit, right? And it disrupted the habits that we had. And now the challenge is getting back to that. So we were, say 20 to 30%, say 25% to go. Now we're 50% to go. Are we set up for 50% to go? And just like that, one day, 1 month to the next. What do you do? How do you do it? And that's where adaptability comes in. And that's just one example. Every day, you got to adapt to something. Nowadays, social media, it could be great, and it could be a challenge, right? People don't have patience. A lot of people, right, don't have patience. We're in the food business, and you could do 10 things right. That one time they have maybe a bad experience, that's it. Shots are fired, on social, and you gotta, figure that out, or you gotta tame it down, and you gotta protect the reputation and the brand, right? So you're always adapting. Never finishes, never ends. You adapt every single day to whatever it calls for, right? And then obviously you got to take chances. The bigger the risk, I guess, right? The more the reward. It's true, for sure. And chances come and go, right? So you got to be able to make that decision and do it quickly when that opportunity arises. Our challenges, what we're working on, scaling without losing our culture, sort of what I talked about a little while ago. As you get bigger, as you get further away from home base, it gets harder. I always ask my team, how does that 200th employee know our SOP? I know maybe the first 50 do, but how does the 200th guy, the brand new hire, understand our SOPs? That's the question, right? And it's hard. That's a very challenging thing to accomplish. But it's extremely important not to lose the culture. If you lose the culture, you can lose the business. And that's where a huge challenge is. We want to stay Wingborne. We want to be local to the Rio Grande Valley, right? People don't see us. A lot of people. How many people know that Wingborne is local? Can you raise your hands? Yeah, maybe half. So a lot of people think we're a huge franchise, that I bought into this franchise. We're, I don't know, Texas or United States wide, whatever it may be. But we created Wingborne. We created the logo, we created the look, we created the menu, we created everything about it. The only Wingborns you're going to find are here in the Rio Grande Valley, and they're all, ours. So, without culture, who are you, right? Then hiring retention. In the restaurant business, man, it's a hard thing to do, and in this environment as well. Our employees have changed. The generation has changed, and we as employers have to adapt to the employee now. And some are very sensitive, right? You can't be as direct as once how it was in the past, right? You got to adapt to the situation, and we got to learn how to make it all work and do what's right again for the company, right? And just continued growth. The restaurant business is a tough business to be in right now. Inflation is hard. Gas prices has a direct reflection on going out to eat. You're spending an extra $40, $50, $60 possibly a week, $300 to $400 maybe a household times all of Brownsville or all of the Rio Grande Valley, spending $300 or $400 more than you did a couple of months ago on gas. Well, that money would be going to restaurants, going to a movie, going to other places. But, the Valeros and the gas stations are the ones getting that. And we, as restaurants and other businesses, again, have to adapt to that. So how are you able to do that? So again, we want to continue to grow as much as we can. And I see eventually, hopefully, at some point, getting out of the Rio Grande Valley, expanding up to different parts of Texas, and hopefully one day, going into other states. So that's our story. That's Wingborne in a nutshell of what we've done. And so I guess I can open it up to any questions that you all may have or comments.
Hey guys, so for those who are new, now we have time to ask our presenter for some questions. Maybe he had an amazing presentation. You might not have a questions. It can be maybe an advice. It can be hey, you're doing great. Sometimes we need those. So
For sure.
you guys wanna ask Bobby something?
Yeah.
First and foremost, congratulations on your massive success. It's not
Thank you.
that easy to scale from 0 to hero.
Right.
And everyone sees the big carrot, but honestly, I see you as the Ray Kroc of the wing barn here in RGB. And
Yeah.
honestly, going back to business, what is your CAC when it comes to cost of acquisition customers? Like, what's the customer experience so they can come back to your restaurant?
Yeah, I don't know. I have an actual. It's hard to understand, the data in regards to gaining a customer, right? But from what we know, is text messaging is the most effective way to gain a customer to have. So I think a phone number for us, and we call that our loyalty program. So a loyalty program is a massive program that, or a huge. We emphasize loyalty as much as we can. Why? Because we want that information. Because who doesn't look at their phone? Your phone beeps or rings or whatever. You're looking at your phone, and you're not going to look at an email, maybe here or there, but ultimately you're going to delete it. But a phone, a text message, you're going to look at. So for us, text messaging is the best way to get your message out. And I think we have close to probably 60,000 loyalty members in our system. So, we send out text messages. If you're not part of our loyalty, we'd love to sign you up, and we'd love to text you too. So, yeah.
And it's a great loyalty. I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So we give value to it, So we want some of your information, but it's a great loyalty program where you're able to get things, and it's sort of a two-way street, right? So a lot of value in our program.
Last question.
Yeah.
Do you ever consider doing like a wing barn university? Teaching, scalability for staffing, entrepreneurs, or sweat equity when people want to open up more?
Yeah. It hasn't crossed my mind at this point, just trying to focus on the company myself, right? But I'm always willing and open to giving advice. So I love doing things like this. I mean, you got to share the ideas, you got to share the learnings for our community, So there's room for everybody, and that's just, my mindset. Yeah.
Coming back where you started, I know you mentioned you were working for H-E-B for a period of time, and you had that restaurant and you were working on it. How long did it take you as an entrepreneur to say, I'm out of H-E-B and creating a cash flow for your business?
Yeah. Well, it was tough. Yeah. Well, with H-E-B, it wasn't like a smooth exit. It was sort of, they found out about Wing Barn because I came out in the newspaper. So I didn't tell them, right? I didn't tell them I was doing it. I just did it. And they didn't really like it, right? So, right. So, anyway, so it wasn't a planned thing. It was just happened, right? So I went from a pretty good salary, six-figure salary, to $36,000. I have one kid, one on the way, and it was, a pretty life-adjusting situation for sure. And I would pay myself $36,000 at that point just to get by, to just pay my bills, So
So how long were you with H-E-B until they found out? Sorry.
maybe like 5 months or so, maybe 4 or 5 months, yeah. So it was like, yeah, got to get it done.
Damn newspaper.
Yeah. So, but that article pushed the level up. So it was a good thing.
And the wings are saying.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
So I'm fascinated with your mindset when you had $700 in the bank and $3,000 rent to pay, and how you were able to keep fighting through that, because that is the crux of mostly everybody that ends up trying to start something within this building.
Right. Yeah. It's just, again, it's do or die, right? I mean, there was no right answer. I didn't have the answer. It was just, what can I do not to spend money? Well, obviously employees are I still need to buy food because I got to sell it, right? So the only other thing was help. And that was a decision to make. That's the only thing did I want to be there all day by myself doing it? Were we offering the best customer service that we possibly could? Probably not. But somehow, some way, I think people respect that and understand that. And when you're starting off, you may have a little bit of slack from some customers. I wouldn't say all, but some, Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
So taking you back to the moment when you only had 700 in your account, and there was only 2 of you working around the clock. Like, what turned things around? The momentum came back, clients started coming in. Was there like a specific strategy to attract more clients, or would you say it was more a matter of time and patience and staying in the course?
Yeah, I think it's staying the course, would be my advice. Like, you can't cut, obviously, food quality. I mean, what you serve is who you are, no matter how hard or how expensive it may be. The quality is quality, right? And just sticking with it, believing in the end objective. But I think every business is going to go through that. I mean, it's never I shouldn't say never, but it's rare when everything positive happens. You're going to face some setbacks, and that's where you have to have that mindset of just, pushing through.
And what did you see in the RGB back then? Because, like, to invest and stay here, because from what I understand, you weren't from here, right?
Well, I've been here since 2006, and I opened in 2010, so 4 years, right? But when I think in 2010, Brownsville didn't have a lot of local restaurants either. There wasn't how it is now. Now there's so many restaurants opening up. So many different types of food, going on in the community. There's a lot of stuff happening in Brownsville, but I do feel the restaurant space is getting crowded. Yeah. Yes.
How did your partnership with UTRGV for the football game come about?
Yeah. So I sort of saw UTRGV going to the next level. The medical school happening, and sports was starting to. I'm just a sports guy, right? I like sports. My kids play sports, and I grew up playing sports, and sports have a big emphasis in my life, right? So I got in before UTRGV sports became so popular. So basically took an opportunity, took a chance, believed in it, and we want to target students, right? I think Wing Barn, we have 2 locations in Edinburgh. Wings, students go hand in hand. It's a good fit for us to invest in and to partner with. So we reached out to UTRGV. We set up a meeting. We were able to reach an agreement in regards to just being an athletic sponsor. So before football was even started, so we were basically in basketball, women's and men's baseball as sponsors. And then eventually UTRGV football is coming. So I think they also appreciated us taking a big stake in their athletics prior to getting all the attention. And, they appreciated that, and I think they gave us the opportunity, since we did that for them, they were doing this for us when UTRGV football came into Vacker Stadium. So it's been great for us. That's, again, another opportunity to adapt quickly, right? They come to me, hey, would you want to do this? Yes, right? And what does it entail? I don't know. I don't know what it entails, but I'm doing it. Are we going to make money? I'm not sure, but we're going to do it. Why? Because of the exposure, touching customers that may have not had Wing Barn before, and hopefully they have it at the stadium, then they'll find us outside. So just getting in front of people, and just, again, you want to be associated with UTRGV. They're doing great things. The football program is amazing, what they've been able to accomplish in a short amount of time. So just to be a part of that in that same circle, I think adds a lot of value. Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
This is kind of an abstract idea, not so much because you already established business, you have your target market, and you're successful. My concern right now is with the elderly people, 80 to 90 years old, and I see you have a real good product. My question would be, how do I motivate this population, or how can I bring that pleasure to them? Because I don't see many restaurants thinking of that category. They do think of the elderly, but not 80s, 90s. And I know it's not, I don't know how productive is the business.
Right.
But the need for these people is there.
Right.
Am I making sense?
I think so. What I would say to that, I guess, or I have to target or spend my marketing dollars on my core customer, right? At the end of the day, I need to attract my core customer. Do 80 and 90-year-olds eat at Wing Barn? I would say maybe, but a small percentage of it, I would say, that would be our customer. So, I think as a business owner, you just have to focus on your core, So is Wing Barn the spot for those guys? I wouldn't say we're a top 5 selection for that age group, right? But can we serve them? Definitely. Would we like to? Yeah, we'd love to. But for me, it's just targeting your core customer. Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions?
I can keep going, so I like to talk.
I hope I'm not intruding, but I know that you had your wings at a higher price. How difficult and how motivating was it for you to drop it down, considering your prices were just a little bit higher? How difficult was it to bring them down in this economy?
Yeah.
I know that you want to always be over here, but
Yeah,
what motivated you?
it's tough. you just don't know, right? Like, it's a risk, you know, we're playing, yeah. And are you right? I'm not sure if I'm right, you know, but it's a risk that we have to drive traffic. I think every restaurant, you know, in the industry, if you read articles and what's happening, we're all having a hard time getting foot traffic in our doors. You know, that's and without foot traffic, there's no sales, and everybody's fighting, as businesses are fighting for every dollar, right? Because there's less money to go out there and spend, so we have to capture as much as we can. And for me, it's price. You know, I understand we're in a price-conscious area, right? We gotta feed a lot of kids and a lot of mouths for families, and I want Wing Barn to be a family-oriented, you know, establishment where you can go and afford great food, great quality, local sauce made from scratch. Environment is there at an affordable price. So that's what I'm betting on, you know, and the prices of certain things are in our favor at this moment. How long will that happen? I'm not sure. But I think we are seeing just restaurants not being able to sell food, right? We're not getting that foot traffic. And producers produce so much, so now they got to get rid of some of that food. They're left with extra, so that benefits restaurants. So the economics right now are in our favor. How long is that going to happen for? I'm not sure. And that's when things can get, you know, rough if it goes the opposite way. So, but again, you adapt to that situation. Yeah.
We have another question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm sure it's really hard starting from there, from your ad, so, but congratulations to where you're at right now. My question will be, how do you plan, how do you strategize your next 5 moves?
Yeah. I think it's very hard. I mean, I would say I'm a pretty good strategizer and a planner. I mean, if that's my life. But in this environment, it's extremely difficult because I don't even know what's going to happen. Like, do we see gas prices going up the way they have in the past 2 or 3 months? I mean, you can't even expect that. And that's such a huge move from a political standpoint. I'm not very political, but the politics right now, in my opinion, are you know, very involved and the markets swing. And that has a direct impact on a plan and a strategy, right? So it's hard, you know, it's hard to plan and strategize, and that's why my plan and strategy is to stay put. So sort of just stay put, maximize our locations, try to do as much as we can within the walls that we have, and, you know, sell the heck out of things as much as we can. But from a growth standpoint, within the next couple of years, I don't know, because again, it's just so uncertain. So for me, is play it safe, maximize what you have, and capitalize on what you can get within, you know, the things that you already have. So, yeah.
What's a daily activity that you do that helps you get your head straight?
So routine is gym. Without gym in the morning, I'm in a bad mood, right? So I got to go and, you know, drop some weights and do stuff like that to get me sane. And just get in that routine. So, you know, wake up, I take my daughter to school, go to the gym, hang out there, and I work actually in a bench in the gym, you know, just sort of catching up on things. I have my routine. And then a lot of messages, you know, a lot of reports, and then just a lot of communication within. But from a head standpoint, yeah, just keeping it clear. Hard to be an entrepreneur, I'm sure you guys know. It's a mind game at the end of the day, and there's not a lot of people that you can talk to or ask questions because they don't understand and know what you're going through or what decisions have to be made. So, you know, it's important to find like-minded individuals, you know, to bounce ideas off each other, and just talk at the end of the day. You know, that conversation can change your mood. Sometimes I'm in a horrible mood, and I'll go to the gym and, you know, somebody does something funny and my day's a whole lot better just because of that one moment or one instance. Or I had a good day at the gym, and it just makes you in a good mood. So for me, that's headspace is huge, and it could take you in a positive way, or it could take you in a negative way. And controlling your mood is a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs, I think, or at least for me. And learning how to control your mood is huge once you can understand it, I guess, right? So.
Okay, we have one last question.
Yeah, we'll get to you guys. We'll do it here. Yeah.
So obviously, as a business owner, money is what makes the wheels turn. But
Right.
how often do you get into a point where you feel that things become super monotonous or stagnant in your business, and then how do you adjust to those things outside of the four walls?
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I always say you got to ride the momentum. Like, I feel, there's momentum. You feel it. You feel the energy. You feel, good things are happening, or it could be bad momentum. Bad things are happening. So when good things are happening, we're trying to ride that momentum as far as we can to try to capitalize and maximize as much as possible. When the momentum is bad, that's when you got to, well, what the heck do we have to do? What's changing? You start screaming, or not screaming, but talking loud, starting to change things, get the momentum moving. Hey, I need this, I need that. I'm sending text messages, and I'm pushing the pace to try to turn it around.
But do you get like that even though the cash flow stuff is good? Like, there's feelings that come along with it, and I know we've probably had those conversations before too, but like, things are good on that stance of it, but
Right.
you still feel that kind of deplete or that energy that's maybe not there. And what do you do on the outside of it? Like social media, advertising?
Yeah, so, regardless if money's there or not there, you have to push the pace and you have to ride the momentum like I talked about. If cash flow that's when, man, it's tight, and you got to figure out how and what and to do it at the best possible price and what we call grassroots, right? I'm passing out coupons, I'm putting, handing out things, in person, because social media too is a very hard thing to understand. And then you go and sponsor something on social, you don't even know if it works or doesn't work. So, it's very real, but the main thing is connecting with people, talking, relationships that you may have in the business world, things like this. You got to be coming to these types of things. Nobody's going to come and hand it to you. You guys got to go and find it. You guys got to go and talk to people, and even myself, I still have to do that. And try to connect and have that connection with somebody. Because at the end of the day, that's what business is about. You're going to contact me, hey, because you know me personally. Or, hey, I talked to that guy, so I'm going to Wingborne now. And you get that support, and vice versa. So I don't know if that answers your question, but, it's just always putting yourself out there, trying to find ways, doing as much as you can to get it done. So, there was one more, but I don't know.
We have one.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now, if someone comes to you, knowing what you know now, what do you advise them to get into this industry?
Wow, that's a tough one. I mean, in my mind, I'd say, you got to follow your passion, and you got to do what's right for you, right? Is there a way to do it? Definitely. In this environment, I'd say so, But you got to be really good. Like I said earlier, it's a crowded market, but you can do it. It's just, you have to have a great product. You have to know what you're doing, and there's no room for mistakes. But if it's your passion, you can do it.
Remember that the beauty of Women in Cups is that we have time to network with our presenters after the presentation. So we don't have time for more questions, but please give it up to Bobby.
Thank you. That's it, right?
Yes, that's it. Thank you so much, Bobby. So I want to ask one really quick question. I want you to raise your hand if you have been here more than once in 1 Million Cups. Okay. Now I'm going to need some volunteers. Why do you keep coming back? Yes.
Because of what Daniel said, networking.
Networking.
Connections.
Connections.
Sorry.
Inspiration. Someone else?
Basically, we're on the same goal, and it's easier to come here to this place where successful people present themselves, and we're at the stage of the $700, right? Or going to another stage of difficulty of keeping your business going on. So it's a better situation that you have experienced people doing it here.
Someone else?
Gaining knowledge from the presenters, and getting answers to my needs of my business and my customers.
Someone else. One last person that wants to share.
That I'm not alone doing this, what I'm doing. I know there's more than me.
Great.
The reason why we come in here because there's not many like-minded people out in the world, and when we try to educate or talk about a problem, they feel that we're showboating. Actually, we're trying to like inspire, motivate, or get a feedback. So this is all the right from growth.
So I think all of your answers explain what this community is about, right? I had an entire speech that I was gonna tell you about 1 Million Cups, but you explained it way better than I could. People don't come back just for the free coffee. I hope so. People don't come back just for the presentations. People come back because we are building. We are building a community that reminds you that you're not alone, as you mentioned. We are building a community that creates connections, as Daniel always says. We are creating a community where new ideas are encouraged. One of the biggest things that I've learned about 1 Million Cups, I'm gonna give you something, I'm gonna say something personal. I'm graduating in 2 weeks, so this is my last 1 Million Cups. As you know, we work here as students, so once we graduate, we're done, basically. So I'm graduating in 2 weeks, and this is my last 1 Million Cups. I've been doing 1 Million Cups for over a year and a half. And one of the biggest things that I've learned about 1 Million Cups is that nobody can tell your story better than you can. Nobody can explain your passion better than you can. Like, nobody can share the passion behind your business better than you. And also, nobody can explain the challenges that you have been going through better than you can. Because again, you're not alone. I'm so proud to be part of this community, to be part of the community that Daniel has been building, to be part of Armando's community. I don't know if you've been here long enough to know Armando. He was one of the first 1 Million Cups presenter, then it was me, and then Daniel. Well, we have one first, that it was Berta. We have been 4 presenters across this amazing 3 years here at eBridge. So thank you so much. I'm super grateful, estoy super agradecida de todo lo que hemos construido. I'm super grateful for everything that we have built together as a community. I'm not gonna be here next Wednesday, but the 1 Million Cups community is still gonna be here. So please keep showing up. You're doing something different than the rest. You're showing up. And I'm so grateful to see similar faces and familiar faces every single week. And those reasons that you gave me, because you show up, keep showing up. That's everything that I can say. Keep showing up. Thank you so much. Voy a llorar, pero muchas gracias por seguir viniendo, por seguir confiando en nosotros. I'm not gonna be here again next Wednesday, but every Wednesday they are gonna be here at 9 a.m., 9:20 RGB time, with another 2 presenters, with another sponsor, coffee sponsor. Today, Harmony Insurance. Please help me thank Harmony Insurance. And remember that every Wednesday is open house, so you can stay from 8 to 5 and work with us. We are super fun. Somos super divertidos todos. Nos pueden acompañar. Thank you so much that everyone that came last week. We had our 1 Million Cups founder. So yeah, thank you so much. I had an entire speech prepared for today, but once I saw a lot of similar faces, I knew I had to say something about that. And thank you so much. Remember that today is open house. And if you want to present in 1 Million Cups, nope. I think Yeah, I don't think I have the QR code right now with me. But if you want to present to 1 Million Cups, can the 1 Million Cups community please help me raise our hands? Somos poquitos, pero trabajamos bastante. Entonces, you can reach out to us, you can talk to us right now, you can send us a DM, or you can also follow us on our community channel. We won't spam you. We won't sell tamales. No hacemos, ¿cómo le llaman con el dinero? No hacemos rifas. Y sí. No, ¿cómo se dice cuando hacen por mes? Tandas. No hacemos tandas. So please, I want to see everyone scanning the QR code. Everyone. No veo a nadie haciéndole scan.
I made it.
In that channel, we're going to keep you updated with any event, any program that we have. We won't spam you, I promise. And if you want to present or if you want to be our coffee sponsor or a coffee partner for the next following weeks, remember that you can reach out to us. You can reach out to Daniel. Did you scan the QR code? Yes? Are you sure? I'm going to check right now. Are you sure? Yes? Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you they'll see you next Wednesday.
Hey.